Okay, I'm doing a video on a 2004 Prius. I was having problems with it. I thought maybe if I could help some other people with this, it would be worth it. So I'm making a video. What's going on with this? All of a sudden it started to run really well. Actually, it acted like the transmission was slipping. All of a sudden I was down the road and I turned a corner and it acted like the transmission was slipping. And then I tried to turn around to come back home and I had to give it a lot of gas, as you do. This has got the CVT transmission, of course. But it acted like a normal transmission in that you had to rev the motor up to a high degree to get the transmission to keep spinning. I was just trying to limp it around the curve and come home. And then the more gas I gave it, as I gave it more and more gas and was revved up, it started to sputter and spit and misfire, kind of act like it was going out of gas. But actually this has a very simple fix. Stay tuned to figure out what happened with this. Now this car does have a few codes. It's had a few codes for a while. The recent ones that I just got after having this problem, I took the codes and it said 3190 and 453. And 3190 is just a general code. I think it says something about lost engine power or something about not having enough engine power. And 453 really isn't germane to this particular problem. I've also had 102, P0102 and 113 codes within the last month. 102 is a problem with cylinder misfire, and 113 is like an air fuel ratio or something. But I don't have my facts prepared at the moment because I didn't need them for this video. So now if you see, I'm going to turn the car on. Now I am going to get a red triangle, but that red triangle is a thing with this particular vehicle because it has a headlight that's out of adjustment. Now, so we can disregard that red triangle is typical for my car because of this headlight adjuster here. Every time that comes on, it shows that, and I know that that's why that's on. So you could disregard that. But the other day when this was happening, the little red car symbol came on here with the exclamation point on it, and I hadn't seen that before. So I did the codes, and these are the two that I came up with, and I was thinking, maybe I was having a bad transmission. I'm going to turn this off again. I thought maybe the tranny was going bad, so I was already prepared to take the tranny fill plug out and check it for fluid. And the way it was running was really shitty, so I thought maybe I was out of gas and that my gas tank gauge, which does fluctuate and is I sometimes have to reset it, so I thought maybe I was out of gas. I watched some videos, had some people say that they were out of gas when they didn't think that they would be, and they had a quarter of a tank because of their, these cars have problems with the fuel gauge being inaccurate. And so I put some gas in it. I had my cousin coming over to help me to prepare to figure this out. The only other thing I could think of is I checked the antifreeze about a month ago, and it was a little low. Hadn't checked it in almost a year. So I put, maybe 8-9 ounces in it, put it back to the tip top. But I did notice that my reservoir for my inverter was low. It was low enough to be down on the low mark, which you can see on the side that it says low. And so the first couple days I came over here at my mother-in-law's house to mess with it, because this is where it broke down at. And I messed around and made sure that everything was plugged into the MAF sensor, and I looked at all my hoses and everything, because I recently replaced the spark plugs on this car. And I think that the 0453 code might have been a code I've been getting for a while, and it might have said something about the upper O2 sensor. And so that was making sense to me because it was running like shit. I mean, it was really running bad whenever I revved it to try to get it home, because I had to rev it to get the transmission to work. The higher I revved it, the more it would spit, sputter, and miss and backfire. So I thought, okay, something major is going on here. So today I brought all my stuff with me, made sure that my antifreeze was filled up. I checked the codes again, same two codes, 3190 and 0453. But I've had the 0453 for a couple years, and I've probably got a weak O2 sensor. Plus I did some exhaust work on this. I took the catalytic converter off of it over a year and a half ago. So I know, the readings might be a little strange, but it never gave me any problems. A lot of these codes, you can run around with them on there and it won't do anything. It's just telling you you might need to clean something, or clean your MAF sensor, or maybe you got some gunk in it when you were changing out your air filter. Okay, so to make a long story short, of all the problems I was having, and then all the research I did online, I was assuming that maybe I had to check my transmission fluid. Now, here's the kicker. Last week, when my cousin was under this car to check and make sure that my O2 sensor was still up there because of this O2 sensor code, he said, oh, you got a little leak here. It's like it's dripping down between your engine and transmission. He says it's not steadily dripping. It just looks like it's been seeping. And so I thought, okay, well, what color is it? He couldn't tell what color it was because it was a little dark out and we didn't have a light underneath there. Well, when I pulled out a little bit, a couple hours later, I put my finger down in a little tiny wet spot and it felt a little oily. So I knew it was either antifreeze, or it might have been transmission fluid, but it wasn't colored. It wasn't red. It wasn't even dark. It was just like a clearish look. And I could tell by rubbing my fingers together that it had a little oily residue. Well, come to find out, after all of this, I came this morning and brought my fluid. I brought the Toyota, your typical pink Toyota antifreeze, which I use green antifreeze in this from several years ago. I started using regular green old antifreeze because it's an old car. It's got over 300,000 miles. So here's the culprit. The thing was on low. I've already filled it up since then. Now it's on full. So what it was doing, it wasn't acting funny. It stalled out on me a couple times. A bunch of dash lights came on. The transmission was acting like it was slipping. I had to rev it high to get it all the way home. So I thought I had a bad transmission, or I thought something major was going on, possibly with the inverter. Well, I filled this up to the full line, fucking dogs. And lo and behold, all of these problems went away. I took it around the block. I was down to one bar on my Prius battery. Doesn't it figure every time you want to do something, there's a goddamn dog somewhere that's got to start barking. So as much as I messed with this, my Prius battery indicator on the dash was down to like one purple bar. And so I was getting afraid that I was messing with it so much, I was going to get my battery low to where it wouldn't start the car up again. Well, I put that fluid in there in the inverter reservoir, and now I've taken it around the neighborhood and everything's fixed. So I know it's going on a 9-minute video, but the reason I gave you a lot of details is because there were a lot of things popping up, codes popping up, things that the car was doing, like the transmission spinning like it was, needing fluid. Anybody who's had cars over their life has ever had transmission problems. A lot of times if you get low transmission fluid, the car will spin. If you rev the engine a lot, it'll try to move, but it'll move, slow, and it won't engage. You know what I'm talking about if you know anything about cars. So, all of these things were indicating a lot of potential problems. I was thinking transmission, it's got over 300,000, blah, blah, yada, yada, but that's the thing about these cars. A lot of times the simplest thing can throw everything off. And so before you go out and get all this expensive work done, you should probably do as much research as you can and check little things like this. I mean, that's the inverter coolant reservoir, and it was on the low mark. So I'm assuming there's a sensor in there that says when it gets low, it starts cutting off your fuel, or it's doing something to the ignition and cutting off your spark. It was running, but it was running like shit. And especially when I tried to rev it up to get it this last block around the to the house, I ended up having to push it partway because it flat out laid down on me and wouldn't start. It wouldn't go into ready mode. It would go to park, and the dash lights were coming on, but no matter what I did, it would not go to ready mode. Also, I was having problems getting it to turn off when I pushed the power button. I had to hold the power button down. So these are all the little glitches that happen when one of your sensors tells you something that it doesn't like. So in this case, all of that, unless in the days coming I find that there's still problems, but I don't see it. It seems like it's working fine now. All of that was being caused by low antifreeze on the inverter coolant tank. So transmission spinning, codes, engine cutting out, massively backfiring. Plus, I think that it went into limp mode, to be honest, because I had to rev the hell out of the motor just to get the transmission to move the car at all. And so all of these things, limp mode and your transmission spinning, all of these things are very scary when you own one of these things, or any car really. But when you have a Prius, it'll help you if you know as much as you can about these damn things, and go on and watch a lot of videos, because I've had some quirky things go on with this car before, and a lot of times it's something simple. So before you go spending a lot of money, make sure that inverter tank is full. Now, this doesn't solve my problem. I've got a leak that I'm going to have to fix. I don't know if it's just a hose. It's gotten old and cracked under there. I haven't looked into it yet because I just messed with it today and got it running again. So obviously I'm going to have to fix something. It's probably just an old hose. This is, like I said, its odometer stops at 299, so it's got over 300,000 miles on it. So yeah, I hope this helps people. Make sure that you check out as much as you can online if you have one of these cars, and try to get as much info and do as much as you can. It might save you thousands of dollars. I mean, I've had people in here, I've looked up these things and these codes, and I have people in here say that they've had to buy a new Prius battery. I mean, not the 12 volt, I'm talking about the big boy. So imagine how much that was, and they probably didn't need to. So these shops are charging people out the ass, and usually it's something simple going on with your car. So all I'm saying is beware. I've been a mechanic for 30 years, since 1985. I'm retired recently, but I can tell you some horror stories about the automotive industry. They're all out to fuck you. I'm telling you that, to be honest with you. If you can't find somebody that you can trust, you're at the mercy of somebody fucking you over, and you need to do as much research as you can, even if you're not a car person, and check all these little things and all the sensors and all the and a lot of times there's no logic to it. You know, you can get codes that say this, this, and this, and you go, just like this 453 code, or whichever one I've had that's had it says O2 sensor, upstream O2 sensor. So, okay, you might think I got a bad O2 sensor. Though then you go and replace it, and then you find out it wasn't the problem. So a lot of these codes trigger other codes. So one code, you got a MAF sensor acting bad. Well, it's going to alter your air-fuel ratio, and then your other sensor is going to kick in and say, well, and then you're going to have a whole bunch of things, and it's usually something simple. So in this case, thought it was transmission going out. It was stalling on me. The battery didn't want to charge. Transmission was slipping like I had a bad tranny. All of this stuff was caused by low level in the inverter antifreeze tank. So I hope this helps. Take it easy.